This is Holly. I met Holly through Leanne. She's an integrative physical therapist at Womenology. And maybe you could just tell us what you do.
I am, like Julie said, I'm a physical therapist specializing in women's health. So we have all women of all ages. We're pushing a little bit more towards pregnancy, prenatal, postnatal, and just spreading awareness about things that you might be dealing with that nobody likes to talk about, but you don't have to deal with it. There's something that can be done. I've been practicing in this field in women's health for 4 years. I did my undergraduate at Chapman, and then I went on to Duke for my doctorates, and have been here in Irvine ever since. So today I'm here to talk to you guys about the 3 P's of pregnancy. Painful intercourse, pee problems, and pelvic pressure. So some people may have dealt with this, maybe not, but some may have friends that they know of or family members that are dealing with it. So I just wanted to spread awareness so that you guys know what we do here. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is painful intercourse. A lot of times we get this with women who have had vaginal deliveries, with episiotomies or tears that can lead to scar tissue. And it's not something that you would experience necessarily right away, but it can be months, it can even be years. So you can have moms and grandmothers with the same problem. But in short, it's scar tissue that from a cut or a tear that's healing, that ends up kind of infiltrating the muscles around it, and it can get really tight as it heals, which is what everybody wants. They want you to close up and for those wounds to heal, but that can cause a lot of problems. It can obviously cause muscle tightness, and that scar tissue doesn't have the same properties as the muscle, so it's not going to stretch as much, which is important for intercourse. And so you have that, and you have less blood flow, you have and less lubrication. So you might find yourself drier with less libido because your body's just not ready for intercourse. And what we do here, it can actually also happen after C-section, because where they cut you here are the nerves to the pelvic floor. The nerves come out from the low back in the sacrum. I actually have a little model. The nerves actually come out from the back here, the sacrum, and they dive around into the abdomen and then down into the pelvic floor. So where you get cut, low cut right above your pubic bone, is right where the nerves are diving down into the pelvic floor. So there can be scar tissue there that's adhering to the nerves that cause a lot of, can cause all of that pain and tightness as well. So it doesn't just have to be from an episiotomy or a tear. The next problem are pee problems. So coughing and sneezing and jumping, causing a little bit of leakage, and even frequency and urgency, having to go more than once every 2 hours or so. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You should be able to sit through a movie and not have to worry about going pee. And also urgency, where you have to go. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And you should be able to control that without any leakage. Same thing with that. That can be caused with tightness in the muscles from scar tissue, and yeah, the episiotomy and the tears really are the biggest culprit. And a lot of the times weakness as well, just from carrying for 9 months, and just all that pressure on your pelvic floor can cause a lot of weakness. And the last one is pelvic pressure, a feeling of heaviness, of things falling out even. Sometimes that happens where the bladder or the vaginal walls actually kind of fall, and you get a lot of pressure, heaviness, and it makes it difficult for you to have bowel movements. It makes it difficult to empty your bladder completely. You may feel like you're retaining a little bit of urine, and then that causes even more frequency and urgency all the time. So all of these things are basically caused by muscle tightness and weakness. And what we do at Womenology is we focus on treating those pelvic floor muscles directly. So we do, and a little bit scary, surprising, but we do internal trigger point release of the pelvic floor muscles. So very similar to a deep tissue massage or like an acupressure where you have knots in your neck or your shoulders. You can get those same knots in these muscles of the pelvic floor. And you can feel those. When we do vaginal work, for the most part, if there are problems with bowel movements, we can do rectal work. Not our favorite, probably not your favorite either, but we do that. So we can feel for trigger points, and they feel like little bumps or ridges in the muscle. And they should, the pelvic floor, the vaginal muscle, should feel very smooth, like the inside of your cheek. No bumps or ridges, really plump and healthy, moist tissue. And for the most part, the women that come in to see us have a lot of tightness. And so what we do is we put gentle pressure on those little ridges, and we can actually get them to relax and release. I can even feel blood flow. I can feel the pulse coming back while we're doing treatment. And the increase in blood flow with that actually helps you to heal. We can actually break up scar tissue doing that as well. And we also can stop, scar tissue can get stuck in a proliferation phase where it keeps laying down scar tissue. And you might think, oh, I've had my baby, 3 years ago, and I'm having pain now. And it's because the scar tissue can get stuck and it can keep laying down new scar tissue. So you could have problems later on. So it's just good to know that you're not alone. It happens all the time. But what this therapy does is actually stops that proliferation phase, so you can heal from that point on. We also teach you how to do your Kegels correctly. I mean, you might hear that word thrown around all the time, but doctors don't tell you, sit there and say, okay, this is how it's supposed to feel. These are the muscles you need to pull in. A lot of women actually do it opposite. Because you're pushing so much, a lot of women have had constipation, they've had vaginal deliveries, and so they're used to pushing, and they equate that to a Kegel, which is the opposite. It's actually pulling up. But our bodies can get confused very easily. So we make sure that you're not doing the opposite, and we make sure that you're doing it correctly, and give you certain cues to pull in the right muscles when you're at home. And you can do that properly. We also offer acupuncture at our clinic. May or may not be covered by insurance, but she works really closely with us. She helps with energy flow through the entire body, but she can help with pain, with pelvic pain, with bladder leakage, and she can also help with actually prolapse, where she can actually lift. It's funny how it works, but she actually has points that can actually lift the bladder and the vaginal the walls and make them stronger just through acupuncture. We offer massage therapy as well, pre and postnatal massages, and we do Pilates and gyrotonic, which is a huge component. Strengthening is a huge component, and I know it's hard to get away when you have babies, but it's 1 hour, and it's a one-on-one session, and it's tailor-made just for you. So with all your history and everything, and the precautions and contraindications, they work really well, really closely with the therapist. So we can make you a special program. And that's really what we do. So all these problems you don't have to deal with, and there is help. You don't have to suffer. We tend to just sit on it and say it's going to get better, it's going to get better, and then you're 2 years, 3 years, and your baby's going to school, and you're still leaking, and you're still having pain and problems, and you don't have to deal with that anymore. So that's a take-home message. And like I said, even if you don't know, if it's not yourself that's dealing with it, just a friend or anybody where we can spread the word just bit by bit is that's my goal here.